We are all set to begin with our next session, which is the plenary session 4, Governance Structures in Microfinance. Well, the average microfinance borrower is from a low-income household and is usually unlettered person. This represents a certain vulnerability and leaves the borrower open to exploitation if the space isn't adequately governed. The session aims at examining the governance framework in place to address such vulnerability, political risk, economic risk as well. To help us deliberate on the same, we would like to invite, first and foremost, our session moderator, Mr. Pankaj Jain, Joint Secretary, Government of Financial Services, Government of India, along with our distinguished panel on stage, requesting all our panelists if they kindly take their seat according to the name tags which are there on the table. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, requesting your applause as we welcome our panelists on stage, Mr. N.S. Vishwanathan, Deputy Governor, RBI, Mr. Phantabawan Zayapet, Deputy Director General, FIS Bank of Laos, Mr. Srinam Kalyanaraman, Managing Director and CEO, National Housing Bank, India, Ms. Sucharita Mukherjee, Vice Chair, IFMR Trust and CEO, IFMR Holding India, Mr. Gyungmon Kyung, Deputy Director of General Economic Department, Government Office, Vietnam. Thank you very much with our panelists and, of course, our moderator here on stage. Handing over the stage now to our moderator with a time frame which they can obviously see to carry forward from here. So.
Good evening, and as we begin, let me welcome all the panelists here. We realize we are running short on time, so we'll try and keep it straight and simple. And I think I have the easiest job of talking the least, so I will straight away get on to the core of this issue on governance structures. And we have a very eminent panel here, a cross-country panel. We have representatives from the Republic of Laos, from Vietnam, and from India. So in fact, hitting this issue straight on the head, really getting onto it, let me start requesting by the Mr. Kuang, if you would like to take the thing, and really could you take us through very quickly what really is the approach, what really is the governance structure for microfinance in your country. So, and what is the approach which underpins the entire thinking behind it?
Afternoon, everybody. In Vietnam, our government knows that microfinance is very good to supply the poor people with fund without security properties. So the Prime Minister, the Congress use credit law in that have a regulation about the microfinance institution. And in Vietnam, microfinance activities in some forms. Firstly, the own bank can do the microfinance activities and MFIs. Then so many projects and programs have microfinance activities. And up to now, we still don't have the framework for the microfinance insurance. So we are in the progress to using the legal framework for the microfinance insurance. And in Vietnam, up to now, we have about 400 or 500 programs and projects have activity about microfinance, but we don't have any framework for that kind of activities. So we are in the process to use the guidelines for that kind of activities for the microfinance. Okay, thank you.
If I could request Mr. Fayad, please. In respect of Laos, would you like to tell us again about the framework which you have there? Similar, what is the approach which is there as far as the Republic of Laos is concerned?
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. This is my first time in India. I'm glad to be here with all of you. Just back to the landscape, the broad landscape of financial sector of Lao PDR. We can say that the supply of financial services in Lao PDR can be divided into three categories. The first one is the formal sector, represented by commercial bank, including one policy bank like in Vietnam. And the second sector is the semi-formal sector, comprised by the village fund supported by the government and donors. And the informal sector comprises loan between friends and family member, informal money lending. So just to mention that we have 42 commercial banks, including the policy bank. And according to my colleague from GIZ project, so 17 deposit-taking MFI and almost 60 non-taking deposit MFIs, and also 27 SCU under the BOL, the Bank of Laos supervision. So concerning microfinance regulation was issued by the central bank, Bank of Laos, from time to time. And the first microfinance decree was approved by the government as a prime ministerial decree in October 2012, and stipulate regulation for DT MFIs and non-deposit taking MFIs. For SCU, there is still running under regulation on SCU issued by BOL in 2008. Governance aspects of those institutions have been emphasized on some provision and are in line in international standards. For instance, deposit-taking MFIs governance structures is composed by shareholders meeting, board of director, internal audit committee, and director, and some related committee. I think that this structure aims to maintain good relationship between investor and the management of the MFI. So that's why I think that governance in microfinance is very important for the future of the sector. The Bank of Laos is also supervising agency for bank side, and also the non-bank financial institution in the Lao PDR. We have established also off-site supervision cycles in which registered institutions have to send standardized data on monthly basis that they are subject to analysis and control by BOL. This includes control on compliance with prudential ratios, as well as assessing data and ratio against DeFi benchmark. The off-site work is supplemented by at least one annual on-site supervision visit. Is it enough? I think that basically now we have the foundation for adequate regulation for corporate governance in MFIs for the moment. Recently, we also introduced new rules for microfinance market entry. This aim is to fit with the, as you know, AML safety regulation of the country. But we are aware it will be not enough for managing well the expanding microfinance industry in the future. Currently, we plan to revise the regulatory frameworks and establish a law to regulate the microfinance sector within the next 5 years. So that's why that we need to deal with some challenges in my country, in Lao PDR. The first is to improving regulation to align with international standards from our regulators' perspective, train the staff of various stakeholders to be capable to handle microfinance activity properly. The third one is maybe is useful to make a deep review of the governance in microfinance sector. And the last one, I think that we must to considering to introduce soon the roadmap for financial inclusion, strategy for financial literacy, client protection, and for bank and non-banks, a more effective credit bureau and other necessary regulation to enhance of financial sector and microfinance sector. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could request Mr. Vishwanathan now, particularly I think the person on the spot as far as post-Malegam committee and how the journey has been, and really what is the direction which we should be looking at in terms of the approach to regulation?
I think if you look at the regulations that have been issued by RBI with regard to governance, I would say with regard to MFIs, three fundamental issues stand out. Number one, given the nature of clientele, their inability to protect themselves, the responsibility of the board to ensure the interests of the customers is very critical, which is why the responsibility to implement the fair practices code, which kind of details the manner in which the interface between the customer and the entity happens, has been put on the board. That's the first thing. The second part of the governance, if you ask me, is with regard to regulatory compliance in general, because the regulations again have multifarious aspects, including those with regard to customer protection itself in terms of grievance redressal machinery, the nature of communication that needs to be made between the entity and the customer, interest rates, for instance, because again, the vulnerability of this section. So unlike in many other segments, we have determined the interest rate at least as a markup over the cost of funds, if not the absolute number. All these have been put in place for ensuring that the governance structure is able to make a proper match between the business requirements and the kind of clientele that this business deals with. The third part of the governance, if you ask me, is risk management. Because again, given that the entities deal with the kind of assets that they deal with, there is need for adequate risk management processes to be put in place, whether in terms of the appraisal that they do of the borrowers that come to them, the kind of, again, the interface that they have with them. So again, I'm saying that if you look at the entire framework of governance that has been put in place, the responsibility of the board has been quite centered around the nature of the clientele that this MFI segment is dealing with. So that's been the kind of focus of the regulation across the board when it comes to guidelines as far as governance is concerned.
I think which is an interesting position really to bring in Sucharita on this whole issue. The first point which Sushnathan mentioned about the inability of customers to really protect themselves and how the relationship could be seen as an unequal relationship between an ill-informed borrower and a lender who is probably dealing with regulation, who understands regulation, who is much better equipped. So with your work around this sector, what are the challenges which have come up, both in terms of deepening customer relationships, in terms of the innovations which should be done, or really does it actually play out in terms of what regulation envisaged?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. Very happy to be here. I do think that as such, I fully endorse the principle that financial services providers should be the ones to ensure that whatever financial services are being sold to customers are appropriate and suitable. Because as such, a low-income household is definitely very vulnerable. I would make the argument that most people, even sitting in this audience, would be highly unlikely to be able to assess the risks of their mortgage, 25-year mortgage loan, and what the effects of an interest rate rise or fall would do. So I would say, even as a general principle, I completely endorse that. For households in this income segment, absolutely, because the risks of getting it wrong are just much higher. So therefore, the regulatory framework needs to provide adequate protection. A couple of things I think that need to happen from here on are really that microfinance institutions have incredible reach. They are probably the only channel that touches low-income households in such a deep and scalable fashion. And how can we make the microfinance institution model even more robust by ensuring that, let's say, a household which only needs a 1-month loan gets that 1-month loan instead of having to take a term loan, or, for instance, protect themselves against weather-related shocks or health-related shocks, which are in turn affecting credit assessment, and how do we make sure that this channel is properly utilized to deliver very strong relationships and the right products to the customers. And, just taking one example of, the impact of regulation while post-AP, I think the introduction of the Credit Bureau was fantastic. It made the sector much, much stronger. Overall, the Maligram Committee recommendations really introduced, that sense of confidence in the sector. However, just taking one example, let's say the household income cap, which is there as part of NBFC MFI regulations. I think one unintended consequence of that is that the desire to collect the right amount of information about that household has, inadvertently gone away. So when there is a household income cap, then there is a lot of self-certification by the underlying household. And what we really need to make sure that the channel actually delivers the right type of financial services is, accountability in collecting the right type of customer information so we can move on to an even wider, more tailored variety of products. So I do think that regulation and governance will have a big role in to support innovation which is good for consumers. Because it is true that we need more than this one product, and how can we support that? I think there are a number of approaches that have been applied. I know, the central bank is also thinking of sandbox type of approaches. I think they're incredibly important to discover the future form of this current model.
Thank you. I think a couple of points which really, I would like to bring in Shriram on this, which is, you mentioned about this whole challenge of overfinancing, of underfinancing. It could be either way. And this idea of assessing income of the household. Now, from a housing finance perspective, Shriram, see, there are some of these challenges probably which do not really play out in the same way. But when we are looking at housing finance in the microfinance space, really, then does the fact that I know that, okay, a house will cost so much, so I'm eliminating, to some sense, the risk of overfinancing. I may still have underfinancing there, but I also still am required to make an assessment of the income. How does this really play out there? If some of these restrictions which we talk about coming from the microfinance regulation, if those were really to be removed, does it really play out well?
I think at this point in time, regulations is not preventing MFIs from taking low-cost housing. Because if I understand the regulations rightly, 15% is allowed for various purposes. The last I saw, MFI data is about 70,000 crores. And the Credit Bureau data on housing loans, as they flagged off as housing loans, is about 22 crores. So there's a wide gap for MFIs if they have to fund. Even if I add another 20 crores for the house improvement, which you give without the title, there is still a lot of scope. But on the low-cost housing, and let me just prescribe, let's say below 2 lakhs or 2.5 lakhs, and especially in the rural areas, I think MFI has a huge role to play. And I've been telling for all the MFI people who meet us on this, I will tell you why. We have seen from data, banks will have a challenge in catering to this because it's going to be very informal income and informal segment. To assessing of an informal income is not easy. Even at the 7 lakhs or 10 lakhs, there are housing finance companies which are still evolving to find a perfect way to do it. 3, more importantly, when you channelize a part towards housing, it goes towards the government goals. Today, I see one of the high risk on the MFI model is the repeated, if I can say, call the political risk. If there is somewhere a loan waiver is declared or somebody says don't pay off, that is a big risk. No regulation or no amount of credit assessment could probably neutralize that risk. So the only way to neutralize that risk, as per me, is concentrate on housing because it goes towards a felt need, and two, it's government's agenda to create the low-cost housing.
Yeah, thank you, Shriram. I've just been told that we need to, cut short the whole thing because I think something else which is coming up. But be that as it may, till that time, we're still trying to get around, get a grip on this issue. But just to understand this, I think the point which Shriram was making about episodic events, about political risk and so on. Sucharita, see, black swan kind of events or something like this, they pose two kinds of challenges. One is for the borrowers, and the other is on the regulation side, because regulation was not really written anticipating these kind of events. On the field, what kind of behavior do you see actually playing out again over here when such events do happen, where where somebody is coming and saying don't repay, or somebody else is coming and saying that actually it doesn't, why do you need to repay at all? If there's going to be a loan waiver, those kind of things, then how does it play out really?
So, we do see that there are, at the local level, really at the district level, there is political risk that keeps emerging all the time. In fact, at IFMR Capital, we maintain a list of what we call stressed districts at any point of time, irrespective of an event of demonetization. And what we've seen is that if the underlying sort of institution has the controls, the processes, the infrastructure in place, once there is a political disturbance, invariably after 5 to 6 months, it generally comes back. But when it gets combined with historically bad underwriting, that's when the problem refuses to go down. So, for example, let's say a microfinance institution, as per its process, should be holding group training as well as group recognition tests in order to underwrite whether a customer is in or out. But let's say, for instance, on the ground, what is happening is agents are being used to collect customers. Then you superimpose an impact of a credit shock via demonetization. The impact becomes much worse and it's much harder to control because there was an original root cause. In most cases where, frankly speaking, there is no underwriting issue, but there has been some kind of political disturbance, unless it's massive. Andhra Pradesh was a totally different scale. I would put that in a different category, really. But very local level disturbances, we feel with adequate risk management, audit, collections, team, board level supervision, I do feel they can be overcome. And even through this entire crisis, we've seen collection efficiencies move up from, let's say, in the worst phases, 60, 70% to 90% and above, almost everywhere. Where there have been real issues, underwriting issues, those issues remain. Because, in fact, the effect of them was exaggerated due to an external shock. I do feel that there are some other phenomena, such as, let's say, distribution of non-financial services, which is also happening, and through the microfinance channel, which I think the board of microfinance institutions, etc., need to very carefully look at, because the incentive structures of sales teams, if they are very high-powered, and if you see a customer buying 3 smokeless chulhas, there is something wrong, right? Then something in the sales incentive is so high-powered that it's producing the wrong result for the customer, and it will backfire at some future point of time. So I do feel that the whole, customer protection ambit really needs to be updated a bit to, from saying, of course, that you should not visit the customer after such and such time. All of that, of course, those principles must be adhered to. But look at the more recent practices, and as an industry, evolve certain principles, even in the way we distribute non-financial services. I don't think it's wrong. It just has to be done the right way. That's all.
So, Shanathan, do you think this poses a challenge to regulation? Or, if there's a succession of such events for different reasons, which maybe, they're not linked to each other, But does it require regulation to be looked at afresh, or do you think, as Suchitra is saying, that it's actually more company level practice which matters?
I think I fully agree with Ms. Mukherjee saying that, the problem will not be this kind of black swan events that you said. Maybe there are other things that are waiting to happen. Maybe some of these events will give it a fillip. But if the underlying quality of asset is good, the right type of people have been identified, and there's been a continuous education of the borrower on an ongoing basis. I don't think these type of events, unless they are of the magnitude as the Andhra Pradesh event, which had other reasons than just what we're talking about, I don't think it's going to translate into a huge risk. Of course, any entity which is into financial business has certain underlying risks, and I think one must be catering to that. And that's what I said. The governance should take care of the risk management fundamentally, whether it is in terms of the underwriting or whether in terms of dealing with delinquencies that it might lead to. All these are part of the risk management that the underlying entity has to take care of. So I wouldn't, obviously you can't write regulations for these type of events. You are writing regulations for normal events, and the abnormal events are entity specific, and the entity should have the internal governance process to deal with them. But if they kind of go away from the fundamental principle of identifying the right borrower, and again, I think very important, the sale of non-financial products, and burdening them with financial costs, those are the things that the entities need to avoid. Otherwise, these events are happening or not happening, some of them will come back to them. So I think it's underlying, fundamentally, if they do their business right, most of the things should fall in place.
So I think, while we probably may not have time for questions, but the sense which one seems to be getting, looking at the cross-country experience as well, while, Vietnam has raised this challenge that you can regulate banks and FIs and MFIs and so on, there is still a gray area in terms of projects, programs, and so on as to if they're doing microfinance. As part of a project design, how do you really regulate those? If one looks at the whole issue of segregating regulation for deposit taking as well as for non-deposit taking MFIs, it's something which they're working on. We'll probably see more progress here. But from the Indian perspective, I think this whole challenge, am I into the MFI business, or am I into a business which is just like any other business? So I can do lending, I can sell a product. At the end of the day, I want to make money. If I am in that kind of business, then obviously the whole design needs a fundamental reset. If I'm just in the lending business and I'm doing it as an article of faith, it still makes business sense for me, then I think the regulation provides enough of a framework to actually go ahead and do it. The idea that you can do 15% of your business, which is non-microfinance business, it opens up space for understanding your customer's credit needs better. So whether it's in terms of housing finance requirement, it may be in terms of certain assets which may not get financed through a conventional MFI route. That perhaps is something which is underexplored as yet, may need to be looked at a little more. But I think there's no gainsaying the fact that education of the customer, a better informed customer, and a better understanding of what product is on offer is probably going to be vital, not just for the borrower, but equally for the lender, because that is where sustainability is going to come from. That is where the next phase of growth is going to come from. So let me just thank all the panelists. I think it was a short session, but I think some really interesting insights. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause for our panelists and a huge round of applause for the Honorable Minister of State, Finance, Government of India, Shri Santosh Gangwar. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us here. We are highly delighted and, of course, look forward to hearing from you. But for now, before we invite the Honorable Minister on stage, we would like to acknowledge all our panelists on stage. Please, may I request Mr. Anand Rao, if you could kindly present a token of gratitude to all our panelists, please. Thank you very much. Let's have a round of applause one more time for our distinguished guests here on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, it's once again my utmost privilege to extend a very warm and cordial welcome to our Honorable Minister for State Finance, Government of India, Shri Santosh Gangwar, who has taken out his valuable time to be here with us for this conference, for this conclave. Sir, your presence is highly encouraging, not only for us, but also for the microfinance sector. Sir, may we request you to kindly join us on stage, and may I request Ms. Ratna Vishwanathan if she could kindly escort Sir to stage, and of course, welcome him with, of course, a bouquet, and we have a small token right here for the Honorable Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together, as this is a very special moment and a very distinguished member, I would say, of the industry, of the ministry who is here with us. Thank you very much, sir, once again. I would now like to request the Honorable Minister if he could kindly extend his words of wisdom and his insight on today's conclave and his views on the same, please. Ladies and gentlemen, Shri Santosh Gangwar.
उपस्थित मित्रों, भाइयों बहनों, यहाँ आपके बीच में एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय पर आप लोग चर्चा कर रहे हैं। मुझको सम्मिलित होने का एक अवसर मिला, तो मैं यहाँ पर आया तो समझने के लिए कि माइक्रो फाइनेंस के ऊपर हमारे देश और देश से जुड़े हुए सभी पड़ोसी देश और विश्व की क्या राय है। क्योंकि वास्तव में अगर आप ध्यान करें, बैंक का कंसेप्ट जो है लोन देने का, तो केवल बड़े तबके के लिए देने का विषय अब नहीं रहा है। हम अपने देश की अगर बात करें तो बहुत पहले 1971 में श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी जी तत्कालीन प्रधानमंत्री जी ने इस ओर ध्यान दिया और कैसे अधिकतम लोग बैंकों से जुड़े इसकी चिंता की और उसी दिशा में एक कदम उठाया उन्होंने बैंकों के राष्ट्रीयकरण का। अब मैं उसकी व्याख्या में नहीं जाना चाहता हूँ कि उसका देशवासियों ने कितना लाभ उठाया, पर 2014 में जब देश में सत्ता का परिवर्तन हुआ, आदरणीय मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में केंद्र में एक जवाबदेह सरकार बनी, उन्होंने इस ओर ध्यान देने का काम किया। और आप ध्यान करें कि पहली बार ये कंसेप्ट लोगों के बीच में आया कि अब बैंकें जीरो बैलेंस पर भी खाता खोल सकती हैं। और उस दिशा में जब हमने काम किया, तो आज जब हम आपके सामने खड़े हैं तो 30 करोड़ के आसपास लोगों ने जीरो बैलेंस या न्यूनतम अमाउंट के साथ अपने खाते खोलने का काम किया। जो 28-30 करोड़ खाते खुले, उसमें 1/3 खाते जीरो बैलेंस के भी थे। ये अलग बात है कि अब इसमें पैसा धीरे धीरे आ रहा है। देश की जनता को इसके साथ जोड़ा जाए और इसके साथ आगे बढ़ा जाए। आपको ध्यान होगा कि हमारी सरकार, नई सरकार ने आने के बाद फिर इस ओर और चिंता की और अब हमने 10 लाख रुपए तक के ऋण बिना किसी कोलेटरल के, बिना किसी जमानत के लोगों के उनके व्यवसाय को चलाने के लिए देने शुरू किए और अब उसका एक अच्छा रिस्पांस भी मिल रहा है। हमने इस वित्तीय वर्ष में जो टारगेट अपना रखा था, उस टारगेट को बढ़ाकर लोगों को पैसा देने की बात की। मैं छोटी बैंकों के काम को देखता हूँ और स्वयं भी एक छोटी बैंक से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ, तो मैं ये महसूस करता हूँ कि एनपीए की समस्याएं छोटी बैंकों में कम और बड़े उद्योगों में ज़्यादा समझ में आती है। कारण कोई भी हो, उसकी कोई चर्चा या व्याख्या करने की हम आवश्यकता महसूस नहीं करते हैं। पर हमें ध्यान है कि पड़ोस में देश बांग्लादेश के अंदर लोग अभी भी मोहम्मद यूनुस को याद करते हैं कि किस प्रकार से माइक्रो फाइनेंस आम आदमी के बीच तक जाए, रोज़ लोगों को ऋण दिया जाए उनके काम के लिए, फिर उसकी वसूली की जाए। ये एक अपने आप में इतिहास का हिस्सा बन गया और लोगों ने इसको एक अच्छे ढंग से पसंद काम किया। ये बात भी सत्य है कि उनको इस काम के लिए नोबेल पुरस्कार भी मिला, पर बाद में अन्य कारणों से जो कुछ हुआ उसकी मैं चर्चा नहीं करना चाहता हूँ, पर वास्तव में हमारे देश जिसकी जनसंख्या 125 करोड़ से अधिक है, और मैं इसलिए कह रहा हूँ कि हमारे देश में केवल 5 करोड़ के आसपास लोग टैक्स देते हैं, उसमें भी 3 करोड़ लोग भी हैं जो सैलरीड क्लास हैं। तो जिस देश में 125 करोड़ के मुल्क में केवल 2 करोड़ रुपए इनकम टैक्स दें, तो समझ में आता है कि आम आदमी यहाँ पर बहुत है, कम आय का ग्रुप का व्यक्ति बहुत है, और उद्योग धंधा चलाने के लिए आज ज़रूरत इस बात की है कि कैसे लोग अपने एमएसएमई के माध्यम से काम शुरू करें, लघु उद्योग स्थापित करें, और इसमें माइक्रो फाइनेंस एक मायने रखता है। मैं ग्रामीण क्षेत्र से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ। जब मैं ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में जाता हूँ तो मैं देखता था कि जिले के अंदर, ग्रामीण क्षेत्र के अंदर कुछ लोग, व्यापारी लोग यही काम करते थे, गांव-गांव में जाते थे, लोगों की ज़रूरत के हिसाब से माइक्रो फाइनेंस की योजना के तहत उनको ऋण देते थे, बिना किसी कोलेटरल या बिना किसी जमानत के, केवल उनकी प्रतिष्ठा के आधार पर देते थे। और मैंने इसको रीड करने की कोशिश की और मैंने महसूस किया कि इसमें जो लोग ऋण लेते थे, तो जो ऋण देते थे, उनका भी ओपिनियन बहुत अच्छी थी। वो केवल व्यक्तिगत प्रतिष्ठा के आधार पर कि इस व्यक्ति की रेपुटेशन कैसी है, उसके आधार पर केवल लोन देते थे। और कई स्थान पर मैंने देखा कि उनसे कोई कोलेटरल या कोई चीज़ बंधक रखने की काम भी बात नहीं करते थे। उनका मुश्किल से 5% या 10% रिपे नहीं होता था, नहीं तो लोगों को चिंता रहती थी। और मैंने एक बात को महसूस करा, मैं आप सब लोगों के बीच में उल्लेख करना चाहूँगा, अगर किसी स्थान पर किसी महिला ने ऋण ले लिया है तो फिर उसकी चिंता रहती है उसको कैसे समय के अंदर रिपे करें, उसकी दिशा में कैसे ध्यान करें और चिंता करें। और मैं इसलिए भी कह रहा हूँ कि मैं अपने ज़िले में, जैसा मैंने अभी कहा कि मैं इस माइक्रो सिस्टम से जुड़ा हुआ हूँ, मैं एक कोऑपरेटिव बैंक को चलाता हूँ और वो हमारा एनपीए 0 है। मैंने देखा है कि जितना छोटा लोन हम देते हैं और जितना भी महिलाओं को हम लोन देते हैं, उसमें उपस्थिति सही रहती है, उसका रिपेमेंट बहुत सही रहता है। तो आप लोगों ने काफ़ी विषयों पर यहाँ पर चर्चा की होगी और वास्तव में इस समय देश की आवश्यकता है कि माइक्रो फाइनेंस को हम कैसे सही ढंग से आगे बढ़ा सकें। व्यक्ति इन समस्याओं की ओर फंसना नहीं चाहता है और ये भी चाहता है कि हमको आसान शर्तों के साथ ऋण मिले। वो ये चाहता है कि जिस प्रकार से ऋण मिले उसको लेने में कोई ज़्यादा हमको परेशानी न उठानी पड़े और वो देने में भी आसानी से इसको रिपे करना चाहता है। अब बैंकों ने अपने सिस्टम को बदलने का काम किया है। आज अब धीरे धीरे हम जिस बैंकों के हिसाब से देख रहे हैं, हमें लग रहा है कि अब जैसे हम 10 लाख तक के ऋण बिना किसी कोलेटरल के लोग दे रहे हैं, तो लोग ले भी रहे हैं और लोगों को प्रसन्नता भी हो रही है कि हाँ, हम अपने इस उद्योग धंधे के लिए लेने का काम कर रहे हैं। तो मैं कोई बहुत अधिक कहने आपके बीच में खड़ा नहीं हुआ हूँ। वास्तव में हमारा मानना ये है कि हम सब लोग इस दिशा में एक अच्छे ढंग से आगे बढ़ें और हमारा देश जिस प्रकार से आगे बढ़ रहा है, आज ज़रूरत यह है कि छोटे कामों को बढ़ावा दिया जाए। बड़े काम का अपनी जगह उपयोग है और तब जब हम अभी 1 जुलाई से जीएसटी लागू करने के लिए पूरी तरीके से तैयार हैं और अब ग्रामीण क्षेत्र में भी इस दिशा में काम आगे बढ़ेगा, लोग काम करेंगे और हमारा देश जहाँ पर 6 लाख से अधिक गांव हैं और कस्बे इस विविधता के हम हैं कि हमको इस प्रोजेक्ट के साथ कि हम कैसे, क्योंकि आप ध्यान करें तो अब दिल्ली की सरकार इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को बढ़ावा देने की दिशा में एक सही कदम उठा रही है। देश के अंदर सड़कों के जाल बन रहे हैं। हमारी सरकार का सोच है कि आदमी गांव से चलकर शहर में बसने ना आए, व्यक्ति गांव में ही रहे, गांव में ही भी अपना उद्योग और व्यापार करे और एक अच्छी दिशा में सही ढंग से काम करे। अब इस दिशा में हम लोग आगे बढ़ रहे हैं। तो मैं आप सभी जो लोग यहाँ उपस्थित हैं, आप सभी से आग्रह है कि इसको कैसे हम एक प्रैक्टिकल रूप से, मूर्त रूप से सही ढंग से आगे बढ़ा सकें। और मेरा व्यक्तिगत अनुभव ये है कि इस क्षेत्र में हम जितना भी फाइनेंस करेंगे, जितना भी लोन देंगे, ये बात सही है कि ये लोगों को ऋण देने और लेने में कुछ असुविधा महसूस होगी, क्योंकि मैं स्वयं कभी कभी महसूस करता हूँ, पर इसका रिजल्ट, इसका आउटपुट अच्छा और ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग इसमें जुड़ने का काम करते हैं। तो मैं आपके बीच में आपकी पहले की बातों को नहीं सुन पाया, पर मैं इतना अवश्य कहता हूँ कि इस दिशा में जो भी आप लोग कदम उठाएंगे, हमारी सरकार एमएसएमई क्षेत्र के लिए और माइक्रो फाइनेंस के लिए पूरी तरीके से कृत संकल्प है। और हमारी रुचि है कि देश में आम आदमी जुड़े। और अब लगता यह है कि देश के अंदर खाता खोलने की, जैसे हम लोगों ने तय किया है कि जितने भी हम सुविधाएं हैं उसके खाते में भिजवाने का काम करेंगे। ये वास्तव में काम करने की दिशा में एक मजबूत कदम है। और लोग जुड़ें, लोग अपने व्यापार, अपने व्यवसाय को सही ढंग से काम करें। और इस दिशा में जहाँ कहीं भी राज्य सरकारें इस दिशा में प्रयासरत हैं, काम कर रही हैं, तो इस दिशा में एक अच्छा हमको आउटपुट भी मिल रहा है और अच्छा हमको रिस्पांस भी मिल रहा है। तो मैं अधिक न बोलते हुए यहाँ पर आप सब लोग अन्य विषयों पर बात करेंगे। मेरा आग्रह यह है कि यहाँ पर जो भी आप अंतिम निष्कर्ष निकालें उससे हमको अवगत जरूर कराएं कि भाई आपकी राय ये है, आपकी फाइंडिंग ये है, एंड आप सरकार से ये अपेक्षा करते हैं, आप ये उम्मीद करते हैं कि सरकार इस क्षेत्र में, इस दिशा में ऐसे काम करे। मुझे लगता है कि अब देश जिस प्रकार से आगे चल रहा है, आगे बढ़ रहा है, आज सबको साथ लेकर चलने की आवश्यकता है। और हम समाज के उस व्यक्ति की चिंता कर रहे हैं जो बिल्कुल निचले स्तर पर रहता है। हमारे जिनको हम आदर्श मानते हैं, आदरणीय दीनदयाल उपाध्याय, वो समाज के उस तबके, उस हिस्से की बात करते हैं और कैसे समाज के सबको साथ लेकर हम चल सकें, ये हमारी रुचि का विषय होना चाहिए। तो मैं, आपने मुझे बुलाया, इसका बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करते हुए अपनी बात को समाप्त करता हूँ। धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। आपका तहे दिल से हम धन्यवाद करते हैं कि आपने अपने बहुमूल्य विचार हम सभी के साथ यहाँ पे शेयर किए, हम सबको उनसे अवगत कराया। लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, अब समय आ चुका है, द टाइम इज कम व्हेन वंस अगेन वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस न्यू एब्सोल्युटली अमेजिंग ऐप दैट वी हैव फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू. Well, once again, MFIN is proud to launch the financial literacy app, which is the MFIN or the MFin Connect. The app is one of its kind, which is aimed at facilitating the ease of access to the financial literacy for the borrowers. The application has 3 modules and is a ready reckoner in 6 different languages, including English, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Marathi, and Bengali. We would like to demonstrate this app for your perusal and, of course, for everyone around, and especially for the Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, sir, once again, as we would love to present what this app has to offer.
अब मैं ये सारा पैसा घर पर रख रही हूँ। मुझे ये पैसा बैंक में रखना चाहिए। यहाँ से चोरी हो सकता है। ये भी तो हो सकता है कि कोई ज़बरदस्ती ये पैसा मुझसे छीन ले।
आपका खाता खुल गया है। रुपए कार्ड और पासबुक आपको डाक से मिल जाएगी।
ये रुपए कार्ड क्या है साहब?
ये असल में एक प्लास्टिक कार्ड है जिससे आप एटीएम से पैसे निकाल सकते हो। इस कार्ड को इस्तेमाल करने के लिए बैंक आपको एक बंद लिफाफे में रखा एक नंबर देगा। ये एक ऐसा नंबर है जिसके बारे में किसी को भी नहीं पता चलना चाहिए। इस नंबर को पिन नंबर कहते हैं, तो आप किसी से भी इस नंबर की चर्चा मत करना। अगर किसी को यह नंबर पता चला तो वो इसका इस्तेमाल करके आपके पैसे निकाल सकता है। ये रुपए कार्ड आपका है, इसे सिर्फ आप ही इस्तेमाल कीजिएगा। इस पिन नंबर के बारे में अपने पति को भी बताने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है। आपकी जमा की हुई राशि बैंक के पास सुरक्षित है और PMJDY के तहत ये बैंक अपने ग्राहकों को 1 लाख की एक्सीडेंट बीमा राशि और 30,000 का जीवन बीमा भी देता है और आपकी जमा की राशि पर बैंक आपको ब्याज भी देता है। बैंक के पास और भी कई सुविधाएं हैं जैसे रेमिटेंसेस, ओवरड्राफ्ट, डायरेक्ट बेनिफिट ट्रांसफर और किसान क्रेडिट कार्ड।
Thank you, everyone. We are Viewfield Labs, and we create impactful, interface-driven technology solutions. Some of you have been present with us from the morning, And I'd like to take a few minutes of your time and talk about the audiovisual content that you just saw in the morning and right now as well as the fact that the app was launched. We were brought in by MFin to help build a platform for creating and disseminating financial literacy content through digital means. But first, a little word about the context. In the current landscape, data networks are growing and the race is on to touch every nook and corner of the country. This presents an opportunity to use mobile phones to spread financial literacy in a scalable manner to peri-urban and rural areas. Our typical target audience is numerically literate. She is keen to improve her livelihood, and what she desires is financial literacy. However, the challenge is to present the digital content in a form that is easily understood. When we started working on this financial literacy platform, we realized that one of the ways to reach out was to create audio-visual content and interfaces that were not text-heavy. Our engaging solutions should ideally work in segmented mobile networks where the bandwidth might still be low. We are in the process of creating a platform for delivery of multilingual literacy content at low cost. Cost in terms of bandwidth, delivery, and effort required. Along with the literacy content, we are also creating easy-to-use financial tools to assist the MFI client in day-to-day activities. We are also aggregating contact information for all MFin institutions so that clients can reach them with ease. Let me quickly walk you through some of the salient features of the app. So you have a list of videos over here, and I'll talk about how these videos were created, but that essentially is the crux of the USP of this particular app. They are essentially a sequence of images with an audio track in them. It's not really quote-unquote a video. We also have a few set of financial tools. Right now, we are limited to one, which is the loan calculator, the loan repayment calculator, wherein you enter the amount. So something like a few figures. Let's take 25% as the rate of interest. Let's take 36 months as the time period, and then whenever people want to pay back the loan. And what you get over here is a simple loan calculator. This app is really aimed for the end users, people who actually, the borrowers. Apart from that, we also have, like I mentioned, the list of contact information of all MFin institutions. So you should be able to click, the customer will be able to click and then open up a dialer box directly. But like I mentioned, what really is the salient feature of this app? We all know that the end user in this particular case will be limited by data plans, broadband connectivity, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, So the basic premise was to build out a content with few illustration frames that you saw. They were not really a running video. It was a set of illustration frames. Furthermore, we wanted to make it multilingual, which meant multiple audio tracks. So essentially, the content was created using a sequence of images and highly compressed audio tracks in multiple languages. What this does is it dramatically reduces the size of the content and bandwidth requirements while conveying the same message. In addition, the platform that is being built will allow any organization to simply drag and drop illustrations and record the audio in different languages. So what you have over here is nothing but the media library with an audio track and the video being played out. If you play out the video, that's what you see. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, once again. This platform is currently work in progress.
Thank you very much for sharing the details as to how the app actually takes us through the various aspects. Now, may I request Ms. Ratna Vishwanathan if she could kindly take stage and say a few words. Let's hear it one more time for Ms. Vishwanathan, please.
I just want to express my deep gratitude and to thank the Honorable Minister because he has a very busy schedule. And the fact that he has taken the time to come to a conference like this endorses the fact that there is a lot of weight that microfinance carries in this country. And he has taken the time to come, speak to everybody, and also I mean, this is not the first time we are interacting with him from a microfinance platform. He has been one of the most ardent supporters, and we have been going to him on several occasions, and it is very heartening to have support of somebody like the Honorable Minister, especially for a sector like ours, which needs all the encouragement that it can get because it supports it supports a very vulnerable and fragile population. Sir, thank you so much for taking the time to come here to spend some time with us. We know how busy you've been, and thank you from all of us here.
Ladies and gentlemen, another loud round of applause right there for the Honorable Minister. Thank you very much, sir. आपका बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद कि आपने अपना बहुमूल्य समय हम सभी को प्रदान किया. It will go a long way for all of us as a source of encouragement.